Welcome back to WGN TV Political Report. Now, on the other side of the race for Illinois Controller is Republican Shannon Teresi. She joins me this morning to talk about her campaign. Shannon, good to see you.
Thank you for having me on, Paul.
So I want to have you introduce yourself to people. I know you've got your master's in accounting degree, you're a CPA, so tell folks what they may not know about your background.
Yeah, so I actually worked at PricewaterhouseCoopers, Big Four public accounting, and I'm a certified fraud examiner. That means I'm certified in fraud investigation, and I'm a certified internal auditor, which means I'm a change agent for McHenry County as the elected McHenry County auditor, and that's what I'll be for the state of Illinois.
So you do say, and looking at your website and such, that you are running on this, and interviews you've done, on this theme of rooting out corruption. But I was sort of curious whether that was a comment about the controller's office or whether you're talking about government in general, and if it's in general, what can your office do about it?
That's a great question. So as the chief accountant for the state of Illinois, you are in charge with watching over taxpayer money. And as the key to managing the state's finances, when you prepare the financial statements and prepare the journal entries, you are looking over the state's finances and making sure everything is correct. You're doing mini audits. And that's what chief financial officers do for corporation, and that's what I'll do for the state of Illinois, is make sure it's fiscally sound. And that's by, per statute, working with every state department. It is in the comptroller statute, and it's not being done right now, to actually address corruption and manage the state's internal control structure. And as a CPA, and a certified fraud examiner, and the only candidate actually qualified to do the role as a chief accountant, that's what I'll do for the state of Illinois.
So let's talk about some of the specifics about what the job does. And, you know, obviously you're going against somebody who has experience in the office. And so we need to talk about that. One of the things Controller Mendoza has done is she's lowered the unpaid bill log from $16.7 billion back in 2017 way down. Our credit rating is going in the right direction. She's been on the show. She made the point that under the previous Rauner administration, credit ranking was lowered 8 times. So do you give the current controller credit for getting a handle on that unpaid backlog bill and bringing it down?
I'm really glad you brought this up, because the true reality of the state's finances as a CPA, I've actually opened up the state's financial statements, and the state's financial position has worsened by $73 billion. And this is heartbreaking. As an Illinois lifelong resident, to see the state's financial position worsening by $73 billion.
What is the $73 billion you're referring to? Where is that?
So since Mendoza's been in office, she said, and even mentioned with Rauner, that the key financial indicator is the overall financial position, not just the general fund that she is referencing, but the overall, taking all the funds and looking at everything collectively. It's in the financial statements, and since she's been in office, it has declined from 2016 to current 2021 financial statements by $73 billion. And this is a very different picture than what Mendoza has put out. And what essentially is happening is debt swapping. And we're basically paying down one fund while taking in debt in others. I would relate this to the taxpayer. It's the same as paying off one credit card, but opening up 25 more under other accounts that the public is not as much aware of.
If that was the process going on, how do you, and again, this is part of your world, so how do you explain the credit? Because I'm imagining we would get downgraded for those things in terms of ratings, but it's going the other way. So are you seeing something that the raters are not seeing?
So under COVID, we got federal COVID dollars, ARPA money, not just flowing into the state of Illinois, but flowing into every government and other entities throughout the state. It was $185 billion state of Illinois got collectively. And this bolstered up the economy, and as soon as they could estimate it, they could record that additional money coming in. However, we have the worst bond rating in the nation right now, and that is because we have to compare ourselves to how other states are doing.
And also probably look at how things are going. One of the things I asked Mendoza about that very point, you know, in terms of the federal money, and she said these changes were happening before those federal funds were even received.
And like I said, you have to estimate it. When we're planning to receive it on the state of Illinois, they can estimate it as soon as they know that they can receive it and they have an idea of how much they are going to be receiving. And so that impacts credit rating. And
Well, let me just ask
for the-
specific.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I don't want to cut you off. Go ahead.
In McHenry County, I've actually implemented a county-wide financial system, and we pay bills in minutes because it's an automated process and not days or months like the state of Illinois. And under my leadership as a CPA and the elected McHenry County auditor, we've actually achieved no debt because of just sound fiscal management and not just rubber stamping all the bills.
So paying bills is critical, so I will tell you this, in doing the homework on this one, under Mendoza's leadership, the bill paying has gone from 210 business days on the average down to 6. That is to say the oldest bill unpaid right now, 6 days old. Again,
Yeah.
does she get credit for that from you?
I would not give her credit because what essentially she's doing is this is just the general fund. And I opened up the website when I thought about running for comptroller and realized she's misleading the public. She's talking about a one fund out of 100 funds for the state of Illinois, when in the financial statements, it does show we are actually getting sued by a vendor. And this is information that is not public. And we've actually taken on more debt overall, looking at the overall liabilities and the notes to the financial statements.
When I talked to her about transparency, and some of the things that she has implemented include the Debt Transparency and Truth in Hiring Acts, trying to eliminate deceptive hiring by various governors of both parties, as she talks about it, the Truth in Budgeting Act. Again, are those things you would keep in place if you were controller?
So as the chief accountant of the state, I will take time and listen to all the state departments. As a chief elected leader, you should be working with all the state departments to do business differently. And one of the key things that I'll be doing is not just looking at those issues, but making sure businesses, Illinois businesses, it's friendly for them to do business here, and not just do business, but also attract new businesses into Illinois. That would increase the tax revenue that we get and bring more jobs to Illinois. Right now, we have the highest foreclosures, highest tax, worst bond rating, and we've seen increases of 32% on our taxes.
Just in general, I believe you've sort of endorsed Darren Bailey. You say you're happy to run with him and the other statewide candidates. Sort of curious as to how, although some of the social issues are outside the realm of controller, fair enough, but you know, other candidates, Tom Demmer has been on, they seem to kind of sidestep the endorsement issue. Where do you align with regard to standing with Darren Bailey as the head of the ticket?
That's a great question. And right now, we are focused on the comptroller's race because it is the key to changing around this state from a financial perspective. As a mom of 2 boys, it would be a dream to actually be able to have education funded and not putting such a burden on our property tax system, have infrastructure. And that's what can be done with proper financial management and an actual accountant and a fraud investigator in charge of our taxpayer money.
With those words, Shannon Teresi, the Republican candidate nominee for controller for the state of Illinois, thanks for being with me and spending some Sunday morning time with me.
Thank you, Paul.
You got it.
It's been great.
Nice to have you. Still to come this half hour, a look back at the Illinois governor's debate, how the candidates handled questions and each other when we come back.